I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order and ask for a roll call.
Councilmember Little. Councilmember Sander. Here. Councilmember Pulapati.
Here.
Vice Mayor Budge.
Here.
Mayor Gatewood.
Here. Stacy, can you read the meeting playback schedule?
Yes. The meeting of the Rancho Cordova City Council is recorded with closed captioning. The recording will be cablecast on Metro Cable Channel 14, the Local Government Affairs channel on the Comcast and DirecTV Uverse cable systems. The recording will also be video streamed at metro14live.saccounty.gov. Today's meeting will replay on Thursday, February 5th at 9 a.m. and Friday, February 6th at 6 p.m. on Metro Cable Channel 14. Once posted, the recording of this meeting can be viewed on demand at youtube.com/Metro Cable 14 and on the city's website at www.cityofranchocordova.org.
All right. Pledge of Allegiance. Can I go ahead and have the most amazing Mr. Tim Murphy with the VIA and the Rancho Cordova Capital Air Show?
If you'll join me, please place your hand over your heart. Repeat after me. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Awesome. All right, can I go ahead and have Apostle Martin Magayan from the City of the Glory Church that will give our invocation. All right, brother. Okay.
All right. I'm Apostle Martin, and I'm going to be giving the invocation today. Almighty God, we come before you as your people with hearts full of praise for your majesty and grace. We humbly ask that your Holy Spirit guide us in this meeting, illuminate our minds to understand your truth, and open our hearts to receive your wisdom. Thank you for this dedicated group of people who have been chosen to serve our great community in this city. As we begin this meeting, I pray as commanded in the scripture of 1 Timothy chapter 2, verse 1 to 2, to pray for all leaders and all those that are in authority, regardless of agreement, and I declare that your purposes will prevail. I pray for wisdom, discernment, to guide their decisions and understanding. I also ask for integrity, moral courage, and humility to serve others selflessly. We seek the guidance of your Spirit for just, peaceful decisions, choices that promote common good and peace. I pray for every council member for their strength, resilience to handle pressure, perseverance with the ability to do what is right, even when it is difficult. Thank you for your protection of our community, your guiding presence and provision to serve this city. We thank you, and it's in Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Now, those of you here with Tim Murphy, be sure he doesn't take that title on permanently. We'll just leave it where it is.
The great and powerful Tim Murphy. All right, let's go ahead and have our first presentation. It's going to be from the Rancho Cordova Capital Air Show presentation. And I got, every time. And I'm going to have Darcy Brewer come up. Darcy.
All of us.
Oh, the whole crew, the great and powerful Tim. And of course, the most wonderful Miss Terry.
I do want to note that in the fifth grade, I did play The Wizard of Oz in a school play.
I need it. Nailed it.
So Mayor Gatewood and members of the council, thank you very much for allowing us this opportunity to share the impact and future of the California Capital Air Show. As you mentioned, I am the great and powerful Tim Murphy.
That is fabulous.
I am fortunately not here in my professional capacity, but instead as a member of the board of directors of the California Capital Air Show. I am joined here today by our fantastic CEO, Darcy Brewer, our amazing director of operations, Angela Terry, as well as a large number of our air show's phenomenal board members, Terrence McNamara and Stephen Clark. We have Micah Runner, Shelley Blanchard. We have Sam back here, who I think you all know. And I don't know if Mark Zapoznik is here, but Mark is usually here, but he's also a member of the board. We are thrilled and proud to once again partner with the Rancho Cordova City to produce an event that's not just an exciting aviation experience, but an enduring force for community impact in the region. With that, I will kick it over to Terrence McNamara.
Thank you, oh great and powerful Tim. So a little bit of a recap from 2025. We had just under 150,000. Darcy likes to put the exact number on my points. It's 146,872 spectators. Saw our unforgettable weekend featuring the Blue Angels, the F-35 from the U.S. Marine Corps, and the Air Force F-16 Viper demonstration team, as well as a number of other fantastic world-class performers. Our 2025 air show was completely sold out for the first time ever, both the premium venues and the general admission. And that's really kind of an amazing milestone for us. Thank you. Thank you. Woo! The point of the show is that it's a powerful tribute to the rich history of American military service and pivotal moments in our global history. We honored the 250th anniversary of the U.S. Navy, the Marine Corps, and the Army, recognizing their enduring contributions to the nation's defense. We also featured a poignant Warbird tribute to the 80th anniversary to the end of World War II, highlighting both the victory in Europe and in the Pacific. But the impacts are not just emotional, they are economic. We generated about, we'll call it $10.7 million in direct economic benefit to the region, including $6.2 million in direct spending in the Rancho Cordova area to those businesses by our visitors, exhibitors, and our direct spending as well from the event. Local business partners, including some of the largest regional employers, are our sponsors and participate with us. And we accounted for more than 1,700 hotel nights booked directly due to the air show from people not just around California, but all over the world. Community engagement, fantastic. Over 200 acres of exhibits and displays, including Travis Air Force Base, Beale Air Force Base, the California Air National Guard, local and state law enforcement, and STEM organizations. We had more than 1,000 volunteers that showed up to make the show go. Many of those are longtime volunteers. Many of them are residents of Rancho Cordova and have been a part of this show since its beginning. And then I would also like to mention that a little over a week ago, Darcy Brewer was honored by the Sacramento Metro Chamber with the Al Geiger Memorial Award. And that's due to the impact that Darcy and the entire airshow team have on our community, and it was really excellent to see that work recognized in our region. And now, Stephen Clark.
All right, Mayor Gatewood, council members, great to see you all. I think it's really easy as we talk about the weekend of the air show to sometimes forget that the air show for us actually lasts far longer than just the weekend. And so actually after all of the aircraft had left Mather, the team actually jumped right back into year-round programming, where our mission continues to be to honor, inspire, and to give back. And to date, that giving back has netted more than $600,000 in STEM scholarships, which has been awarded to more than 280 students. And that scholarship program is actually open right now for students to be applying for. Great. But more than just scholarship programs, it's youth programs that have engaged more than 3,500 students from our region every year. It's these free educational outreach programs that introduce students to aviation and STEM careers and include hands-on workshops, mentorships from industry professionals, and interactive STEM exhibits serving local schools, many of which are obviously here in Rancho Cordova. Destination Aviation and the ACE Academy, which are held in partnership with regional schools and industry leaders, connect thousands of students with career partnership pathways in aerospace, engineering, and aviation technology. As a father of a 13-year-old girl, I think one of my favorites, and one that I know several of you who've actually attended yourself, was Girls in Aviation. And last year, we had more than 500 young girls join us for that event. at Mather, which was our largest Girls in Aviation Day event. And it's done in partnership with Women in Aviation International and seeks to introduce girls of ages of 8 to 18 to careers in aviation. It's that collaboration with local schools and youth organizations to provide these immersive experiences where they really have an opportunity to take a look at simulator training, piloting drones, and getting to hear from guest speakers with military and civilian aviation, getting them more interested in what's going on, careers all across aviation and STEM. But it's more than just these opportunities of coming in and hearing about speakers, putting hands on simulators, or even flying cool drones. It's actually partnerships, and Terrence was just talking about that. He mentioned our nonprofit partners, and this last year we partnered with more than 30 of them, and they actually benefit from that partnership. In fact, last year we partnered with them in revenue sharing, and that revenue sharing totaled more than $105,000, directly benefiting them. In addition, the California Capitol Air Show provided thousands of free tickets to Title I schools, youth groups, families of active duty military members, and veterans organizations, ensuring access to educational and inspirational aspects of our air show. It's these partnerships with local educators to ensure aviation-based STEM experiences go well outside of just the classroom, and reinforcing real-world applications of math and science, while sparking students' interest in high-demand careers like, I don't know, working for the airport or anything else. Might know a little bit about that. It's a pretty good job. Anyways, I think the biggest point here for you all is just to know that these efforts really ensure that the air show's impact and the city's investment in being a partner with us goes far beyond just an air show weekend. While that air show weekend is immensely important, it is those programs that extend all 12 months of the calendar that are so important in inspiring our next generation of innovators, engineers, and pilots while making sure that our collective community is strong. Angela?
So I get the fun job, and I get to preview. That's a thing we talk about, is the fun job. I think it's the fun job because I get to tell you all what's going to happen in 26. By the time October 10th and 11th comes around, we have not had an air show in the skies of Rancho Cordova or Sacramento County in 18 months. So everybody's itching. You can feel it now in our emails after Insider Posts. People want to buy tickets and they want to come to the air show. So with that, after 18 months, we're going to make it big. It's going to be all out. So the United States Thunderbirds will be back to celebrate America's 250th birthday. Get ready to party because everybody in the nation will be partying, and we're going to do it here at Mather Airport. We're excited. Our friends from the north, the Snowbirds, will be joining us as well. So 2 jet teams, we like to call it the rock concert and the ballet, will be at the show October 10th and 11th. If you're an air show insider, you might have seen an email that came out last week announcing we're bringing back the night show.
Yes.
So, yeah, it was a hit in 2024 with Frecce Tricolore and the Thunderbirds, and we're really excited to celebrate California Capitol Air Show's 20th anniversary really big with that night show. So we want to give you a taste of what you're going to expect in 26.
If you're watching from home, turn up your volume,
Yeah, loud.
all of you.
And there you go. I know we've exceeded our number of minutes, but I want to take our last minute to say none of this happens without the dedication of more than 1,000 passionate volunteers who give their time and hard work to make this event possible. But it's not just the amazing volunteers and our very hardworking board that make the air show possible. The City of Rancho Cordova's continued support allows us to honor our past, celebrate our presence, and inspire the future of aviation and aerospace industry professionals. Part of this support includes the support of city staff working very hard for years on end on our board, and we'd like to take a moment to thank Kim Duran Karagiorgio for her years of service as a member of our board of directors and her deep commitment to our year-round student programs. There's really cool stuff in there. You're going to have to ask her to see. The Blue Angels also asked us to drop by and thank the council for their warm welcome to the city and generous hospitality for the week they were here with us with a couple of personalized mementos. The one on the left is our poster last year, but each of the officers of the team signed it, and there's a note for you on the back. And then they left you their signed poster as well. And I want to thank you for your time and support and helping us to make magic in the skies and on the ground for our community. Thank you for letting us be here tonight.
Thank you.
So, really quick, you guys do amazing work. You are truly one of the heartfelt pieces of our community and really have made us special. And so every time we are 100% with you. We love seeing, especially bringing back the night show. For all you don't know, it's 100,000 degrees when it's not a night show. And that's why it's so critical that I can show up without burning and going red. So very excited. Thank you for everything you do. I know it's tons of hard work, and I know my community isn't always the nicest on a hot day, but we appreciate you, and we love that you are in our city, and you guys are amazing, especially Angela.
Mayor, if I may.
Very much.
All right, go ahead, Siri.
Yeah. I'd also like to say congratulations, Darcy, on your award. If you could hear from the back, it was me and Amanda cheering for you. So that was us. You guys make magic in the sky. Of course, it's pleasing to the eyes. I wouldn't talk about the years at this point, but it's such a great thing that you guys are bringing to the city, especially the STEM for girls. That is one thing that I think is very unique in the entire region. So thank you for that. And Stefan, I know he is so passionate about planes at every point. I know we were flying one time and he was telling us, where to sit and, everything about the plane. So everybody was amazed with your knowledge. So thank you for that. And, it's very rare to find somebody who's so passionate about their work and loves talking about it even after work. So you have a great team that's going for you, and we really look forward to October.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yay. All right, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
And I get a ride in the Blue Angels this year. I promise I won't throw up like last time. I got this. All right, next up, employee milestones. Brenda. All right.
So following the good work that city staff's doing, I'm here to honor two of our team members who have reached significant years of service milestones with the city of Rancho Cordova. It's a pleasure to recognize their contributions this evening. And following the presentation, I would like to ask City Council to join us on the floor so we could take a commemorative photo of the event. So first off, I'd like to recognize Esther Panola. She joined the city in January of 2006 and is celebrating 20 years of service with the city. While she is unable to join us this evening, we do want to honor her longstanding commitment with the city and the community. As an accountant in the finance department, Esther has played a key role in maintaining the city's financial health with integrity and professionalism. And now we have Stefan Heisler. He joined the city in October of 2015 and is celebrating 10 years of service. Serving in the role as a housing manager in the community development department, he has supported housing initiatives that have helped strengthen Rancho Cordova neighborhoods and expand housing opportunities in our community. So joining us this evening is Stefan, and I'd like to invite him to share any additional comments.
Just a few words. This is my most difficult presentation tonight. There's something wrong with my eyes when I start thinking about this presentation. So let me get to it. We'll get through it. They say the journey is the destination, and I think in some cases that's true. 10 years ago, I arrived at my destination, which is to say that I started my journey here with the city of Rancho Cordova. And now 10 years later, we're still here on the same journey. Some things are different. For example, all of us look a lot younger than we used to. We found the fountain of youth.
Give him a raise, Micah. Raise.
But some things haven't changed. What hasn't changed in Rancho Cordova is that we still have the best opportunities in the region and the resources to do it, and just about more than just about any other city in California. We still have the privilege of being able to dream big here. And I thank you for allowing me to share that opportunity in this journey. So I'm excited to keep journeying along with you and see where we go.
Thank you, Stefan. I know we kept you busy over the weekend, but you do have a hot topic.
So, yeah, Mr. Mayor, real quick, I just want to, as we honor these individuals, it's really, I think, important to kind of think about the commitment that they've made to be a part of our, team here for these many years, and really want to congratulate Stefan and Esther, who I know loves not being up in front of people, so I'm not surprised she decided to not take the honor today, but really appreciate the work that they've done over these many years. As we continue to build out the culture and as we continue to grow and add staff members, some of these key individuals that continue to be here as part of our journey for a long time are really important. So congratulations, Stefan and Esther. Thank you.
And I would just add briefly, Stefan followed extremely experienced mentor in his area, and I think is a great example of people really coming up through the ranks, getting great colleagues and mentors who help guide them into an area, and has really stepped into an incredibly complex, dynamic part of the state practice and local practice. And also, like so many other employees, is very active in the community in different ways and participates in different events. So I think, we talk a lot about the professional work that people do here, but many of the employees you see honored in this way have very meaningful extracurricular private contributions that they make to the city in their private time, and he's one such person.
Thanks for your time. Who started 10 years ago? That's all right. Just got elected.
One, two, three. Perfect. Thank you.
Came to something not too long ago.
All right, awesome. So we're going to do some public comment. Members of the public wishing to address the council for any matter not on the agenda may do so at the time by completing and submitting a speaker card to the city clerk. For items not on the agenda, speakers will be called by the mayor at the point on the agenda when the item will be heard. Speakers are encouraged to keep their comments to 3 minutes or less and state the name and community of residence. Under provision of California Government Code, the city is prohibited from discussing or taking immediate action on an item not on the agenda unless it can be demonstrated to be of emergency nature or a need to take immediate action arose after the posting of the agenda. Stacy, do we have any public comment?
Yes, I have 6 speaker cards. We'll start with Larry Leroy Ladd. Following Larry will be Scott Craig, Peter Friedrich, Pleasant Grove High School Soccer,
Hey.
Michael Harris, and Helen Whalen Bashaw. Larry, you'll have up to 3 minutes.
First comment is hooray for the air show. I'm imprinted on airplanes. I grew up next to an airport. I love airplanes. That comes from, I was half blind for 7 years, and my parents had a mobile of birds. So I spent first 7 years of my life trying to figure out what birds look like. And then when I got my glasses and they took the patch off the good eye, a Fairchild boxcar flew over, turned over our cornfield, and I thought it was the most beautiful thing in the world. So in my core, I love airplanes and birds. All right, so my topic is, today is Groundhog Day. If you've seen the movie, that's when you do the same thing over and over and over again. And on Wednesday, the federal government is going to present on what the safe level of perchlorate in drinking water is for the 5th time. So I've had plenty of practice in this. And so I thought it was a good opportunity to explain to you guys what that number means. Basically, it's a scientific number. The one sentence summary is, if they change it by a factor of 3, it's scientific and toxicological. If they change things by a factor of 2, it's legal, political, economic. And so the numbers coming out this time are 20 to let people know it's there. And that's 10 above, that's a factor of 10 above Massachusetts' 2. So there's a scientific argument. But after that, it's you have to shut down the water at 20, 40, or 80. So factors of 2. And that comes from messy scientific processes having have a legal level where this is safe and this isn't, and that's the way the public looks at it. But as Dr. Sander knows, and you engineers know, it's a fuzzy world in science. But if it's in the press at all, that we'll see what happens. I'm expecting the first presentation is not with the EPA, it's with the Small Business Bureau. And in the first 5 minutes, I'm going to know where this is going. If they are giving talking points to water purveyors about how to kill this legislation and distributing pitchforks and torches, I know that's where this is going. But if they're sitting down in a presentation and saying, okay, this is how you're going to adjust to this upcoming regulation, then as far as I'm concerned, it's a good thing. Rancho Cordova is at 4. That's partly because there's assumption is there are other contaminants. So after the conference on Wednesday, I will report in to you guys again about what happened there next time you meet.
Excellent.
You didn't mention Groundhog Day said another 6 weeks of winter.
Oh my God, she gave me a scientific question. And Larry will run down this field. I think we're done with rain for the year. It's a La Nina year. Everybody's saying we need more rain, I need more rain. But it's like, hey, it's a La Nina year. Just be patient, wait for El Nino. So that's what I think. I'm counting on being able to go up and down the mountains all the time now to get rocks for the May 8th Riverview STEM science fair, where I've been assigned to really jazz up the first grade lesson on the rock cycle.
Oh, that's
so
cool.
I plan to get a whole bunch of rocks in Nevada for these kids to play with.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council members. My name is Scott Craig, and I live in the Cordova town area of Rancho Cordova. I've lived there for almost 19 years. I was going to ask the air show staff to fly low over my roof, but they've left already. I'm here today to speak to you about a potentially unsafe intersection in Rancho Cordova. On Tuesday, January 27th at 3 p.m., I witnessed a serious car accident that involved a vehicle fire and significant injury at the intersection of Mill Station Road and Rudier Road. A small sedan heading southbound attempted to turn left onto Mill Station Road directly in front of an oncoming large full-size pickup truck. Neither vehicle slowed nor braked, and the resulting collision left the small sedan on fire in the shoulder of the road. I immediately called 911 and clearly communicated the accident location, the presence of injuries, and that a car was on fire. The accident happened immediately in front of me as I was stopped on Mill Station Road, getting ready to turn left onto Routier, going to the schools over Highway 50. I thought they were going to hit our car, and we narrowly avoided any contact with our vehicles. I'd like to share an observation or two about that intersection. I'm concerned that this intersection has design and safety issues that may contribute to collisions, including limited sight lines, inadequate signage, and a high volume of traffic. I frequent this area often, picking up children from the schools down there, and am familiar with how busy this intersection can be. As you're aware, there's limited avenues over Highway 50 in Rancho Cordova, and that adds to more traffic in this area. Additionally, vehicles turning eastbound onto Mill Station Road have a limited reaction time because Routier crests over Highway 50 as it's coming toward us. There is approximately 1/10 of a mile distance between the crest of that road and this intersection. And additionally, there is no signage at this intersection for the north and southbound lanes and little speed limit signs in the area. I respectfully request that the City Council consider directing staff to review this intersection to evaluate possible safety improvements. From a simple layman's perspective, it seems that putting in a three-way stop and some simple signs could be a very easy and cost-effective way to mitigate future accidents in this area. Thank you again for your time tonight. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Hey, did you get that? Did you write that down? Sorry, I'm talking to the staff. Albert, did you write that down?
Yeah.
Okay,
and
cool.
I would just say, if you want to check in with our Public Works team, Albert, there, we'll talk to you about those things.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Peter.
Peter Friedrich, Sacramento. In September 2024, someone vandalized the Baptist Temple here in Rancho Cordova. Your police department investigated it as a hate crime, which was the right response, but I want to talk about what happened next and who showed up to help. 8 months later, last year, the Hindu American Foundation, HAF, organized a temple safety and security conference in Sacramento and got your police chief, Chief Tamayo, to deliver the keynote. On the surface, that looks like a community safety partnership, but HAF is not what it presents itself to be. Al Jazeera, The Intercept, and the Quincy Institute have all documented HAF as an apparent lobbying arm for India's ruling party, Prime Minister Modi's BJP. Last year, the Fremont Gurdwara Sahib filed a formal complaint with the DOJ accusing HAF of operating as an unregistered agent of the Indian government. And when activists sought email correspondence between the Indian embassy and HAF, the embassy refused, stating that disclosure would breach a fiduciary relationship. That seems to be precisely the kind of relationship which would trigger a foreign agent registration obligation. So here's the hypocrisy. HAF showed up in Rancho Cordova after a hate crime, but that same organization led the lobbying campaign that killed SB 509 last year. SB 509 would have trained Californian law enforcement like Chief Tamayo to recognize and respond to transnational repression, the harassment, intimidation, and assassination of Americans by foreign governments. It passed the state Senate 38-0, the Assembly 47-0. It was endorsed by the California Police Chiefs Association, and then Governor Newsom vetoed it. HAF celebrated it, calling the veto a victory. A victory for who? The U.S. DOJ has indicted a former Indian intelligence officer for directing a murder-for-hire plot against an American citizen on American soil. The FBI called it an attempt to assassinate an American for exercising his First Amendment rights. And 30 miles from where we're sitting, in Woodland, in August 2024, on Interstate 505, someone shot at a Sikh activist who was a close associate of the man that the DOJ says India tried to assassinate. He believes it was transnational repression, and the FBI is investigating. An organization, the HAF, that claims to care about hate crimes in your city worked to kill legislation that was designed to protect Americans from being murdered by a foreign government. That is not a civil rights organization. That is a conflict of interest at best. Council members, Mayor, I'd ask you to look carefully at who your police department and the city in general partners with, and whether or not those partnerships serve the safety of your residents or the interests of a foreign government. Thank you.
Next speaker is a representative or representatives from Pleasant Grove High School girls soccer.
All right, come on up, guys.
You'll have up to 3 minutes.
Good evening, Mayor Gatewood and council members. My name is Zaina Chaudhry. I'm a junior and one of the captains of Pleasant Grove's high school girls soccer team. I'm here with my teammates tonight to say thank you.
Hi, my name is Emma Butner. I'm one of the captains of PG women's soccer team. I would like to sincerely thank the City Council for your guys' generous financial support for our team this year. Your contribution helped fund our recent trip to to LA, where we had the opportunity to compete at a high level against top-ranked teams from Costa Mesa, Santiago, and Hawaii. Those games challenged us and helped us grow as athletes and gave us experiences we'll carry beyond the season.
And this year, we're proud to announce that we are Delta League champions again, heading into playoffs stronger than ever. It feels good to be part of a community that shows up for us. Not just sports, but girl sports too. We don't always get the same visibility and support, so your investment and care means more than you probably realize.
Hi, my name is Lily Hattler. These opportunities and accomplishments would not have been possible without your support. On behalf of my teammates, thank you for investing in student athletes and for continuing to support youth and high school sports in our community. We are truly grateful. Just to know, all 5 of us play at San Juan Soccer Club, and we are deeply rooted in the city of Rancho Cordova.
Hi, my name is Adeline Alley. I'm also a captain on Pleasant Grove Women's Soccer. As a small thank you, we brought you some PG swag. Consider yourselves honorary Eagles. We're proud to represent Rancho Cordova. Thank you for believing in us.
Now you got to come up here and get a picture with us, because we're going to take a picture of the championship team.
Yes, yes.
If you guys didn't know that lady right there, I knew her when she was a baby. Her dad basically runs the Little League baseball program and the soccer program in RCAA. Hal Buechner is that, and his mom, and her mom makes the best chili in Rancho Cordova. All right, come on up, guys. Let's take this picture. Great job. Great job. We like when we say proud. Number 1 again, champions, Rancho people. All right. Great job, guys. Beating the snot out of Folsom. I meant, yay.
The next speaker for public comment will be Michael Harris.
Good evening. Good evening. It is a very distinguished privilege to say happy 100th anniversary of Negro History Week and 50th anniversary of Black History Month. And, you know, I was just blessed because I had a history teacher. She said, you have your A, you get to read From Slavery to Freedom by John Hope Franklin and give me oral reports in the back, because back in those days, it was like she would have been fired for teaching or even bringing that book to school and handing it to me. And so when I met Dr. John Hope Franklin, probably the most esteemed historian in America, you know, some of y'all know about what happened in Oklahoma, you know, Black Wall Street. Well, his father was a lawyer for Black Wall Street. So that the history is deep there. But the idea that here in Rancho Cordova, you know, I talk about it a little bit every now and then. You know, there's a highway sign out there that mentions Mr. Leidesdorf. I mean, when you say the first public school in California, well, he was the financial capital for that, and he was the president of the school board in San Francisco. His steamship is on the state seal, agricultural export. The warehouse in San Francisco. So it's down in San Francisco, they're doing, after all these years, finally doing some nice things for William Leidesdorf. And his 35,500 acre ranch here, we, you know, we've been at it, you know, tweaking it. Now that I'm semi-retired, we're going to focus on the agricultural here, you know, in Rancho Cordova, where his farmhouse was back in 1844. So the idea that, you know, Black History Month, which is now, well, beginning was Negro History Week, now it's Black History Month. And so this whole idea of Africana, like the young ladies, they play with teams from all over the world. There's people of African descent all over the planet. And it's not Black history, and it's not just American history, it's wherever we happen to be on the planet. And wherever we might happen to go around the earth, you're gonna see Black folks who speak in all kind of different languages. And it's Africana studies. Now, my teachers, that's what they teach, Africana studies. They help create it. You know, we have Kwanzaa here, every TV station, have a couple of newspapers. But the founder of Kwanzaa is still living. And he teaches Africana studies. Well, he says he's retired down at Long Beach. But this year will be 60th year of Kwanzaa. We're going to do it again here. But Black History Month will be Friday, right here. And hopefully, I don't know, make sure that we don't disturb folks because they'll still be working. But we're going to have the drums blazing outside. And it's a taste of Africa. When I say blazing, it's going to be loud. And it's going to be some real percussionists that know what they're doing, crisp sounds. So I'm going to leave some flyers, and I'll leave some in the back. But everybody's welcome. Black History is not just for Black folks. Hopefully, that infinity sign, the launch might be the 7th. We'll see, going back to the moon. And it's a Black man, Christian man, who's flying the Orion back to Earth. And they wrap it around the moon, just like that Orion sign up there. Thanks.
Next speaker is Helen Whalen Bashaw.
I'm Helen Whalen Bashaw, and I'm from the Tiffany area. Tonight, I'd like to bring up something I consider like housekeeping. I was at the Planning Commission meeting last week on Wednesday, and I mentioned that we couldn't hear them. Could they please talk into the mic? After the meeting, the person came over and talked to me and said, I want to apologize, the audio was out. So what I believe, which should have been the proper etiquette, is at the beginning of any meeting, when you have an audio problem and you know you're not going to be able to hear things because the speakers are down or the different cameras or TVs are down, you need to tell the public, because they never opened their mouth after I made the comment. They continue to talk, and it seems like they're talking amongst themselves. It does not feel like the Planning Commission engages with the people who show up to talk about the issues. And I feel that maybe you need to train them, and that in the beginning of every meeting, if there's going to be an audio problem, you need to tell the public. Because to me, I felt like they were disrespecting me intentionally. And it was after the meeting I find out you had an audio problem. Just like, how long was this TV out? Like months, if not a year. So that's all I've got to say. Thank you.
Mayor Gatewood, that's all the public comment that we have.
To council reports. And we're going to
Hey,
start
wait,
with.
we have the youth council. Don't we need to acknowledge
Oh,
them?
hey, youth council, come on up. Come on up here. Come on, you can't just walk out and sneak out. I see what you're trying to do. It was, all right. Go do your city manager report right now. Talk about it.
I was going to say this for my city manager report, but I didn't know Nick was leaving with the crew, but just acknowledging our pro-youth group cohort that is here, that is the annual or semi-annual tradition of having the team. So really appreciate them being here and participating, and thank Nick for bringing them and celebrating tonight. So
Thank you for being here. Go ahead, please.
Briefly speak?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you guys for making the space. I apologize that we were about to dismiss our program in just a few minutes, so I wasn't sure what we lined up with respect to the meeting agenda. But I do want to expend a very gracious thank you to our city staff here. I also would like to show some extra appreciation for the CEIF team. Also to Randy K. Stevens, if you're listening to this, congratulations on the new title. I'm very excited. Again, as Micah put it, a semi-annual program where I teach youth about how to engage with local politics. It's a pleasure of mine to also have all of you showcase, what's going on in the city, what they can learn from your leadership, your guidance, your experience. Mayor Gatewood, I'm excited to have you present to my group actually next Monday.
Next Monday?
Yes. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah. So thank you for your confirmation of attendance. And also to City Manager Micah Runner, also for making time to speak with us. by the end of the month as well. But to all of you, thank you for creating the space, for all the work that you do in the community. You guys are doing amazing, expanding the city, its services, making sure that, all of the population here is listened to. And, thank you once again to everybody in the council and within the building. So with that, I'm glad to be here. Have a wonderful night, and I'll be seeing you guys a few more times in the council meetings.
All right.
All right.
Excellent. Thank you.
Have a wonderful one.
Joe, what you got going on?
I finally have my voice back, and I don't really
Hey, you're
have.
back. He's alive.
Hey, everybody. I just report back from my exploratory mission to Oahu, where I got sick. They have highway warning signs there, like their version of Caltrans, that say slow down or whatever, but they post them in Pidgin.
Really?
They have official from the state, but it's all just completely very funny, broken English and stuff. I thought that was very interesting. And a lot of graffiti. It made me appreciate how clean our city is. You spend a lot of time outside of Rancho, and there's a lot of graffiti everywhere. It's not something we would have here. But that's it, nothing else. Happy to have my voice back.
Okay, there he goes. David.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just returned from Washington, D.C., where I met with the National League of Cities Executive Committee. As past president, I'll be doing that for a few years. Got some in-depth reporting on Mayor Gatewood's activities at the U.S. Conference of Mayors meeting. All positive, I would have to say.
Woo! Full of them all.
All positive. Just there's a reporting system in place, though, Garrett, between the two of us now, so this is going to be interesting.
Ah, dang it.
I also met, of course, with the Air District, SACOG, Regional Sand, probably a couple other responsibilities I'm not calling up at the moment in the past week. Nothing of particular interest to the city in those. However, I did spend some time with our new basketball coach at Cordova High School.
Hey.
Coach Chris Collins, really great guy. And they beat Kennedy last week. So that was, I think, last Tuesday, if I remember right. Very exciting to see that happen. Very exciting to see them there. I think there's a lot of growth potential with this coach in that position. So I'm excited about it. I'm excited for our kids. That's my report.
All right. Siri.
So one Saturday, I had to attend the Kite Festival at Spoto Park, and it was a really good breezy day. So it was celebrating spring, celebrating a community, and actually it was one of those festivals where you have to be outside, and the windy day really helped. So if you find kites somewhere near Stone Creek Park, know that it was for a good cause.
Was there kite fighting?
I think
I
so.
love that.
I think there was, because I saw the
Fabulous.
whatever the spool, the thread that they were using to fly the kites, it cut some people's hands. So I think it was really sharp. So maybe there was some kite fighting. Because myself and Mayor had to go to another event, which was a cricket tournament, where they, I'll let the mayor talk about that. But he had to
Rest of the
leave.
people in Rancho.
He had to leave, and I was there handing out awards at their cricket tournament. So that was good. The mayor, city manager, and staff, we attended the Metro Chamber Annual Awards, where Darcy, as you heard, got the Al Greiger Award. So it was a pretty fancy event, well attended. And I was out of town last weekend, so that's 1 week. Thanks.
Linda.
So the routine meetings these past couple of weeks have been regional transit and the library, and this morning's habitat conservation plan. This morning we actually discussed a project here in Rancho Cordova, Taylor Morrison Homes, out east of Rancho Cordova Parkway, north of Kiefer and south of Chrysanthi. Is kind of going up into an area of town that has not been developed before. Council also had a special meeting to talk about a specific housing project. And I'm not sure we've had a meeting to congratulate Garrett on a really dynamic speech at the luncheon. I mean, Garrett brought the house down. Actually, he jazzed it up with the cheerleaders, and then he brought the house down. And incredibly dynamic speech. He really deserves all sorts of congratulations. And yesterday afternoon, I took my sister-in-law to a concert at a very unusual place at the Moose Lodge. There's a gentleman over there who has a beautiful voice, and he sings Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin and Neil Diamond, and everybody had a great time. There was audience participation, and it went on for like 3 or 4 hours, and we just all had the best time. So I want to congratulate the Mooses on that. That's one of those things where you don't realize how many cool things are going on here in Rancho Cordova for people to go attend until you just get out and go do something like that. And we also want to congratulate our animal services people. On Saturday, they did another totally free clinic for dog lovers, vaccinations, chipping, and licensing, all right here, all over at the Animal Services Center, and all of that happening on the spot at that time. And it didn't need to make several trips or anything, and it didn't cost people a penny. There was even a gentleman from who came over from Mather Veterans Village and brought his doggie, and they had almost 150 people, and it seems like you think they would run out of animals to vaccinate, but it turns out every time they do this clinic, it seems like the same number of people show up again. So we want to congratulate Animal Services, and that's my report.
All right. I haven't done anything this last 2 weeks, but it's this list, and this list. So everyone get comfortable because I had to do it so you get to hear about it. So I met with the CEO of Tri-Tool, fascinating individual. There's so many different CEOs of different companies in our city. You don't realize how many, but it's huge. And so we had an amazing discussion about CNC operators and how if the school district put something together, a CNC operator is one of those great blue-collar jobs that could come out of our city, and you could go right from high school and they would be hired immediately to go work at those jobs. And not to mention, if they wanted to extend it and keep going, there's even more opportunity for that. So I'm working with the school district now. There's a way to get our hands on curriculum. The only issue is the Folsom Cordova School District, instead of building the machine shop for CNC machines in Rancho Cordova, which would have made sense, they built it in Folsom. So now what we're going to have to do is work with some of our partners like Tri-Tools to build these new organizations here in Rancho Cordova, which they're willing to do, and help us to get curriculum if they can guarantee some worker bees will come out of it. And I know that my citizens would love that type of job. First and second generation, work with your hands, great money, great retirement, just an awesome opportunity. And I'm going to do more of this because I want to hear and see from our CEOs. The only problem they have is a little bit with a recycling place. But besides that, we just need to really, that's just, there's so many opportunities for Rancho Cordova to just keep going in the right direction. If you haven't sensed the energy, I'll bring it up. I'll save that. We're going to talk about 10. Number 10. It starts with the B. We're going to bring it up in a minute after I finish. Keep going. Second thing, Rancho Cordova Business Outlook. Thank you so much to Diane from the Chamber of Commerce. It was amazing. I got to speak at it. It's funny because in our region, if you went back and they start talking about, they say the economy is getting better, but they say Rancho Cordova is overcoming all the numbers that are supposed to happen for small cities. And it's like we're pole vaulting ourselves into such economic goodness. It's amazing. And they just saw all these numbers and all the trending and everything's going up for Rancho Cordova. I went to the U.S. Conference of Mayors. So if you guys don't know this, you go there and you meet with all the different mayors in the entire U.S. and the world, because some of them fly in from other countries. And so found it fascinating. Met Elizabeth Warren, talked to the mayor of L.A., Pittsburgh, what was his name? Dearborn, Michigan, like all the ones that you see on TV and in clips. I met all of them, from the crazies to the non-crazy, to the ones that are crazy online, but the minute you meet them, they're quiet and soft-spoken, and they just have a character they play. Fascinating. And but I did come home with about $900,000 of potential grants that all we have to do is fog a mirror. Planning grants. A lot of people won't change the way they write the grants, and so the government said if you change the way you write it, you can have the money. But they have such big chunks of money that no one's applied for. So we like planning grants for roads. There's so much money at the Department of Transportation. They said, I've never heard them say this. They're like, please apply, because if not, we don't have a use for the money because it's just going to get rolled into next year. And I'm like, that is crazy. Whereas when I first got on council, it was so impacted that you couldn't squeak anything out. And now they're like, here's it. I brought home all the documentation. I gave it over to Albert. You scan it and you literally put the documentation. And we have a bunch of stuff that's ready to go. And if you didn't know this, if you can get a planning grant, the planning grant is where you get your funding grant from eventually. So we should go and get all the planning money, because no one seems to be stepping up to get it. And then never go with your friend to a press conference if you don't want to be pointed out to talk on international news. So it's not my fault. And Cheryl, I apologize, because I promised I wasn't going to be on national TV. But what happened is I was next to the mayor of West Sacramento, because she keeps getting bullied by bigger people. And she said, hey, can you stand there and swell up so I can not get punched out of sight? Not a problem. I stand next to her, and you do the nod thing where people talk, oh, yes. And then because they want all the mayors behind them, right? And I was like, all right, I'll do that. So I was nodding, and I was agreeing with them, and they got done saying some talks and being really, gung-ho. And then a couple of the news, what is it called? Politico stood up and was like, hey, heard a lot of bad things about data centers and want to know what the mayor conference really thinks about AI and AI technology. And so the head of it looks around and says, that's great. He's like, Garrett Rancho, you do AI. You're the city of AI. Come on up here and talk about it. And I slid in and I had to explain to them that AI technology is not a lose for a community. It's literally the most amazing advancement in the last 60 years when it comes to technology, and it's just going to be this thing that keeps growing, and you need to be on an adoption of how to adopt it and make it work and not be afraid of it. You don't want to be on the end of this technology, which you want to be on the front, but you want to make sure it works for your community. So a lot of people are like, oh, I'm scared of a data center. Well, make the data center work for you. If you're scared of power and stuff, have the data center pay for the power and the water on its own, because they make about $700,000 a day. And they could help out with the community. And if you get a good business, it's like any business. Find a good business partner and work with them, and you'll get what you want. And so it was crazy. I got to get up there. I talked to a bunch of cities. They're all very impressed with our small city. I had 7 to 10 of them ask us where we were, insulted. And then they asked us, your Rancho Cucamonga. I was like, I swear if you finish that. Cordova, thank you. And it's went to the BIA installation dinner, amazing. Went to the after school AI program. Thank you to the Suvida Foundation. We're doing AI in our high schools already. They built an AI bot to put on our website. And so when you go to our website and you type some information in, the AI bot will actually work with you. Very cool. Went to the 3rd annual State of Public Protection address by our DA. Very interesting. Went to the Sacramento Chamber of Commerce. Their dinner. Went to CausePure. Met with them. You guys heard Downtown Dova. David and I are working with them, hearing about how it's coming. I see the finish line. It's going to be a lot of hard work as the community as we go to this, but it's something that's going to really benefit our community, and it's going to be so nice to have entertainment after 6 o'clock and a restaurant. Tears. Did this thing called the RC Monthly Luncheon. Thank you, Shelly, for planning. It was great. I mean, that was fabulous. You did everything fabulous. Records, playing, dancers, me singing. I mean, you can't beat that. I don't know how the next mayor, Linda Budge, is going to upstage me and what song you're going to sing, but we're not that big of a fan of country, so I don't know what you're going to roll with. Filmed the Mayor Minute. That was fun. Okay, so Siri and I went to the SCCL, which is the cricket finals. And in Rancho fashion, they got in a big old fight. And it was hilarious because we showed up and we were supposed to start really quick. And then I didn't know cricket, you fought over like points. And I guess his ankle was in when he caught it and he didn't get the 6 he wanted, but he's supposed to get a 3. And that was about an hour and a half discussion. And I was sitting there being like, in any other sport, don't you get a foul and you just move on? They have to negotiate with both coaches. So what do you think? Do you think you want to take the 8? No, how about you? You want to take, no? You want a 3? Hour and a half. Super supportive. I mean, it was crazy. Because I am, so the one-off sports that come into the community, I am so excited. Our Indian population loves cricket. Not likes, loves. And when we have a professional cricket team, which we're going to be one of those crazy cities that have that, we're going to draw the entire Asian, Indian community into Rancho Cordova to watch the championship cricket team. Still going. That's what I said. I just want to bring this one thing up because I think it's amazing. Congratulations to Solidyne. If you guys didn't see this, they got $10 billion to come into the city of Rancho Cordova. That is amazing. And the fact that they are now been given that money to set up an AI company in the city of Rancho Cordova is exactly the kind of energy we're bringing in. Along with that, we got the metaverse to work with Sac State and bring in $50 million, which is 1/10 of what we actually brought in ourselves. But let's not focus on that. Let's focus on the fact that AI is alive in the city of Rancho Cordova and our surrounding areas, and it's turning us into the place you want to be for this kind of technology. Robotics, engineering, they're all kind of starting to come into our city. And what I think is just our identity popping back up again, because I've always said we're just the place where rockets were invented. We're the rocket scientists. Now we're going to be where the AI scientists come out of and are invented. It's just amazing to see the city go back into what it was always. All right. Now, good evening, everybody. As the mayor of Rancho Cordova, it is my honor to recognize Black History Month, a time to reflect on the contributions, resilience, and leadership of Black Americans who have helped shape the nation and the community. Black history is America history. It's the story of perseverance in the face of injustice, innovation born of struggle, and a progress driven by courage. From civil rights leaders who have challenged the status quo to everyday community builders who have opened the doors to the next generation, these contributions continue to move us forward. And as the city of Rancho Cordova is the strongest when we celebrate diversity, stand with equality, and create opportunity for all, this month and every month, let us commit to learning, listening, and leading together. Thank you and happy Black History Month. I have never been in a city that I feel more welcome, more understood, and safer than Rancho Cordova. We are one of those cities that you see every race, every culture when you walk outside your door. And I think that's our military base, honestly. It's basically led us to have all the same community, and we know how to live, work, and play together. So, now I'm going to read off all the very cool thank you. I'm just going to give a special shout out to Maria, to my amazing Mac, Cheryl, I see her in the back, for having these events. Because when I first started in Rancho Cordova as the first Black person to be elected here, not the last, we didn't have any events, anything like that. And so now, I mean, our city was literally started by this man, I'm going to butcher his name, Liesendorf. He basically started Rancho Cordova, which is funny because that means our city was started, Folsom and Rancho Cordova were started by an African-American man that actually became a Mexican citizen so that he could buy land from the Mexican consulate. Long story, but at least he got it. So, cool events that are going on for this month. The MAC is hosting Black History Month. So we're having The Voice in the Thread, an exhibit featuring Social Justice Sewing Academy. And I'll do a welcoming. This exhibit empowers young people to express themselves, create a change through sewing and textile art. If you didn't know that, that's sewing, not sewing. Anyways, moving on. Social justice education, make community quilt workshops, and the art quilt programming are FJSA core activities to help the middle and high school students grow as critical thinkers, artists, and advocates. That is right now. Ancestry and Alchemy, a Sacred of Black Women, a solo show by Yana Evans. Nailed it. Got it. I was going to nail that anyways. Inspired by her ancestors, her art represents the sacredness of Black women through spiritual imagination and intuitive process. Her artwork reflection of herself and her inspirational women in her life and a magical journey of transformation and creation. Then we have a concert. Don't miss the concert. Sabrina is the songstress. Sabrina and her fabulous trio will perform some of the greatest hits from the HR era, including recordings by Billie Holiday, Ella Fitzgerald, and I know those, and Sarah Vaughan, Louis Armstrong, Nat King Cole, and more. I nailed Nat King Cole. They will bring the artists to life in their dynamic sounds, beautiful arrangements, and historical accounts of their lives of these legends. Awesome. And that's on February 20th at 6:30 to 8:30. I think these are all going to be on the website. February 6th, 5:30 to 7:30 is for the Yana Evans, and then the other one is going on right now. It's January 15th to February 21st. From Renew Imagination Studios, Renew. Black History Month Art Show. Imagination Studios is hosting a special art show celebrating Black History Month. The show will run from Saturday 11 to 4 p.m., 11 to 2 p.m. on Sunday from February 7th through the 28th. An artist reception is set to take place on Saturday 21st from 4 to 7. Don't miss it. And then my friend is already gone, Michael, but let's talk about this one. Hidden Pioneers. Join a Lifetime Presidential Gold Medal Award winner, CSI Bill Montgomery. Now, it's awesome that he's actually coming to Rancho Cordova. So you don't want to miss this because his life story is amazing. For a special presentation exhibit commemorating the 100th anniversary of the Negro History Week and the 50th anniversary of Black History Month. Montgomery leads the organization Hidden Pioneers, which carries on a legacy of his cousin, Katherine Johnson, who was awarded the Presidential Medal of Honor by Barack Obama for her role in the computing of NASA. Go figure, AI City, AI Black History Month. Here's the story. It was told in 2016 film Hidden Figures. If you guys remember, it's the lady that wore the glasses that did the calculations on the rockets by hand, which is nuts because that's how they had to do it. And that's like using an abacus to figure out rocket directions. But it's crazy because you watch her do it, and they had to fight that while at the same time she had to walk 4 hours to go use the bathroom because she wasn't allowed to use the people of the non-colored bathroom until that guy got really annoyed by it and just knocked it down and said, I need to get my numbers done, which efficiency at all times. Montgomery's special exhibition will be in Rancho Cordova City Hall on Friday, February 6th, beginning at 5:30. Looking forward to all that. Thank you for all your time, and sorry it took so long. I'm going to leave this on to Micah Renner. Good Lord, that was a week.
Right.
Oh.
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate it. I did get a front row seat of the Mayor Luncheon and the dancing, so I did appreciate that view. But really just one thing, just wanted to recognize our Public Works team. They did win a Women's Transportation Sacramento Chapter Award this last week, and so celebrating the work that was done on Chase Drive. And so want to just recognize Christine and Edgar and Albert, and that congratulations on that award that they received this last week. So with that, that's the end of my update. Thank you.
All right, we're going to move on to consent calendar items. Consent calendar items are deemed routine and non-controversial by staff unless a member of the council wishes to pull an item for individual consideration. All items may be approved in one motion. Guys, do you want to pull anything? No? Is there any public comment?
There is no public comment for the consent calendar.
Seeing none, then I will move approval of items 13.1 through 13.7.
Roll call.
Councilmember Little. Councilmember Sander.
Aye.
Councilmember Pulapati.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Budge.
Yes.
Mayor Gatewood.
Great. All right, no public hearing items, no consent public hearing items. Three, four. Let's start with 16.1. Stacy.
The item for 16.1 is a resolution authorizing a funding commitment of $5 million to Rancho Cordova owner LP for the Asteria Flats Affordable Housing Development Project.
Stefan, hit it.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Stefan Heisler, Housing Manager for the city. I'll be presenting the item. And we also have representatives from Lincoln Avenue Communities here in the room. I'm going to call them up for a few slides, and then I'll finish off the presentation. So our goals for the item are to provide details on the Asteria Flats Affordable Housing Project. We will present and discuss the developer's request for a $5 million loan, and then requesting direction to staff regarding the funding commitment request. Oh, yes, I'm sorry. So at this time, I'll call on Brandon Hodge, Vice President from Lincoln Avenue Communities, and he'll be presenting more of the details on the project this evening. Just for context, this project has received entitlement approvals already, and this item is really focusing only on the funding request at this time, which we'll get into details as well. Go ahead.
Good evening, Mayor Gatewood and members of the council. My name is Brandon Hodge, here representing Lincoln Avenue Communities. As Stefan said, I'm a vice president, project partner with Lincoln Avenue, lead developer on this opportunity. Before we dive into specifics, I want to give you a little bit of background on Lincoln Avenue. So we are a California-based, mission-driven, affordable housing developer. We're active in the Sacramento area. However, we have a nationwide footprint. We've got extensive experience developing affordable and workforce housing. Currently own 170 properties, which serves about 30,000 households across the country. Our mission is to provide high quality, sustainable, resilient housing. One really important piece I do like to note is we're long-term owners. A lot of times in multifamily, you have merchant builders and merchant developers who will develop a community. Once it's constructed, they're selling and they're out. We're long-term owners. We're involved for 15 plus years. So we are extremely invested into these communities. More than anyone else. And so when we design those decisions we make, we're very incentivized to ensure that we're providing appropriate amenities, high quality, durable construction materials, because we live with those decisions for 15 plus years. Moving on to an overview of the development. So it's about just over 11 acres located at the southeast corner of Sunrise and Chrysanthi Boulevard. Currently proposing 236 units, which is a mix of 1 through 4 bedrooms, which will house working class families. You have individuals can live in 1 beds up to larger families in the 4 bedrooms. It's 10 three-story garden-style buildings with a standalone clubhouse. The clubhouse is directly in the center of the site. And so when you're coming off of Chrysanthi, the entry point, that clubhouse is that first building you'll see. The square footage of those units ranges between around 700 to 1,400, from a 1 bedroom to a 4 bedroom respectively. Community amenities, we've got just around a 6,000 square foot clubhouse. Just south of that clubhouse, you have a pool, you have lounge areas, you have outdoor grilling area with a few pergolas, and directly west of that, 2 playgrounds, one a tot lot as well as a playground for older children. It's just a really nice space for residents to come out and gather and connect. The goal of the development is to provide workforce housing for working families in the city. You have essential workers, healthcare workers, people in the industrial field, people that need access to high quality, attainable housing, and that's the goal of Asteria Flats. In terms of the development, AMIs, which is area median income, that is the 30% to 70% is where the incomes that this development will serve, and those AMIs are set annually by HUD. So those change annually, and those change as wages change, and average incomes within the county change. And so that numbers-wise is around 30,000 to 105,000. I know that's a pretty wide band, but that is that band from 30% to 70%. Other details, 460 surface parking spaces, 100 of those spaces are covered. And then we'll also have 46 EV charging stations. So here are a few photos of, this is a development we recently completed. Just wanted to give you a real life example of what Asteria Flats would look like. So that first photo in the upper left-hand corner is of the pool area. You have the clubhouse just directly behind the pool to the left. This was right prior to the pool furniture getting delivered, so there is going to be a little bit more going on the pool deck. That upper right-hand corner is the clubhouse, and so that is one of the gathering areas in the clubhouse. And then you can kind of see in that back right-hand corner, there's an additional room there, which is there's a kitchenette, another gathering space for residents. The bottom left-hand corner is it's a unit. You have high-quality cabinets, solid surface countertops, resilient flooring, stainless steel appliances, and then additionally in the bottom right-hand corner, photo of the same unit that is just the living space. They're designed to be modern, indistinguishable from market rate developments. They really take that approach within the units as well as the exteriors and amenity spaces. One other really important piece is obviously developing a high quality development, but we understand the ongoing maintenance and management is equally as important. These are large investments, and we take a lot of pride in ensuring that we have the right management approach, because that really strengthens the communities. We hold all of our residents to the same standard. We prioritize timely response for maintenance, and as well as preventative maintenance to ensure that 15, 20, 30 years down the road that these developments are still going to be still really high quality. So here is an aerial rendering. And so this viewpoint is looking south, Chrysanthi Boulevard at the bottom of the screen. So that would be the main ingress-egress point. And as I said previously, that you kind of drive in, the clubhouse is directly in front of you with the residential buildings kind of spread throughout. Next slide. So that would be the outdoor amenity renderings. That'd be on the south side of the clubhouse. That upper right-hand corner is some seating areas with pergolas and the grills that you can kind of see. You've got the pool with lounge areas, some shade, as well as directly west of the pool area, a few different playgrounds. So it's a space we designed to have residents utilize and connect and gather with each other. So this would be final rendering. This is that same viewpoint looking south off of Chrysanthi, just more to street level. So robust landscaping, really something when you're driving in, it's got a really good entry feel and directly into the clubhouse. And so that gives you a little bit better idea of what we're proposing. So shifting focus to the request. We are requesting a $5 million development loan from the city, which will help ensure that this development moves forward as designed today and helps us meet our upcoming state deadline here in June. We want to develop something that the city and the community are proud of, high quality housing that's going to last. We understand, we know this is a fast growing area. This is a highly visible corner. Again, we want to design something that is and build something that the city is really proud of. The project's ready. We're fully entitled. The financing is largely in place. This is just the last piece. And so we look at this as an opportunity to turn a long vacant site into a lasting community asset. And so we really appreciate your consideration.
Thank you, Brandon. I'll cover just a few sort of example projects of sort of comparable size in other jurisdictions, and then we'll wrap up. So kind of looking at sort of where these projects sort of end up, I think we've had previous discussions about sort of kind of different kinds of affordable housing projects. This is this is what you would probably see more on the large unit sort of bond-funded projects. So we are seeing them across Sacramento region. There's been several recent examples in Elk Grove. So one of them here was the Gardens at Quail Run Apartments that was built in 2023. It included sort of a larger number of units, but you can see from the aerial here, kind of coming in within already established single-family neighborhood. Similarly, on a nearby lot in a not very far location from the last slide is also MOSA, which is also built in Elk Grove very recently here in 2025. I think that was done in a couple different phases for the full number of units, but that one also similarly sort of a large unit bond-funded project going into existing neighborhoods on sort of pre-identified high-density housing sites. And then also there's been a recent example in Folsom. You can see here the Granite City Apartments, which was built in 2013, included 81 units. It's kind of similar amenities across all the different projects that we would be seeing in Asteria Flats. So looking closely at the loan request and our staff evaluation, as we've mentioned, the developer is requesting a $5 million loan. This city funding would cover development and construction costs, ensuring the project meets the state's June deadline to begin construction. Most often we see projects coming to the city prior to applying for state funding, and we've sort of made funding commitments in the past sort of in order to get state funding. In this case, that hard part has already been completed. So the state funding has been received, but there's a project need in order to sort of complete the project financing. And so in my fourth bullet here, what would happen if the project is not funded by the city? Funding will need to come from another source. So that could be private capital, that could be harder to find. It could put the project at risk of a shortfall. And also could require the project to make scope or design changes to bring the project in line with the available budget. So the per unit subsidy requested here is much lower than our average project per unit subsidy on our other projects that we funded, as well as the developer has already sort of done quite a bit on their end on the financing side to heavily defer their project developer fee in order to sort of make the ends meet. I'd also note too that they've also worked with other partner agencies in the region to help lower some of the fees on that side as well. So we aren't the first agency to be, being knocked on the door for funding. So a lot of the work has been done already. So getting to the alternatives and staff recommendation, the resolution before you, if adopted, would essentially effectuate either option A or option B. The difference here is oftentimes we make funding commitments and we don't plan to come back for council. Option B would be slightly different in that staff will work with the developer and we'll kind of stay tuned for sort of basically the final construction costs once those are bid and all of the costs are known. And if there's any opportunity for project savings, we'll work with them and potentially see if there's an opportunity to reduce the amount that the city loan needs to be in this case. And then option C as well is to not provide the funding commitment. So our staff recommendation is option B this evening. And that concludes our presentation, and we're happy to take questions and comments.
All right. Let's go ahead and go to public comment. Stacy.
Yes, we'll start with James Garcia.
Hello, James Garcia, resident Stone Creek. I also like the idea of option B. I'm actually one of those weird ones that kind of supports some of these projects on occasion. I like the fact that we have 235 units and we're at 460 car parking spots. We're almost at 2-to-1. I really wish we could push it over the edge and go to 470, just so we can actually finally meet that, because there's an awful lot of two-car families that need housing. And most projects that we've had presented don't have nearly enough. They're like at 1.25 per project, and that's it. So this one's close to 2-to-1. So I really like that option there. Like the idea that it is a loan as opposed to a handout, pure handout. So a little bit of that. Don't know what the terms of it though, and how long we'd get that money back. So that's my only other concern and question though on that. But I'd rather go with option B. So thanks.
Next speaker is Chris. Chris, I can't read your last name, so I'll let you introduce yourself.
I'm Chris Osana, president of Cavallo Ranch. Have some generalized questions. I know we're a little bit past that on it, but was wondering kind of what the completion date was, estimated completion date, and then also for everyone in our area that is concerned about schools and how it'll impact them. Make sure we get that to Elk Grove School District as soon as possible, because
Totally agree.
we don't want to hear from all them again. And then I am in support of option B on it. I think he brought up a good point as far as parking. Just knowing that area, it is pretty trafficked. There's not going to be any street parking. Like, it's just not realistic with the Anatolia Clubhouse right next door. Chrysanthi already is pretty busy, and there's no way to park on Sunrise. So, yeah, I think that's pretty much it. As long as it makes financial sense for the city, and get a decent interest rate on it. So,
thank you.
Additional public comment came in via email for this item. Those individuals are the following: Marshall T., Carola Valdez, Pham Soichow, Ashna B., Keith and Carrie Peacock, and Annie Luwinyu.
All right.
Thank you.
When do you think you'll get it done?
So the project would begin construction in about June of this year. That's under a strict state deadline to start construction, and then about an 18-month window for construction. So 3 to 4 months before the end of construction, they'll begin pre-leasing and hopefully open and by the end of 2027. But feel free to correct me if I'm wrong.
It's close. Yeah, it'll be about a 24-month construction schedule. Okay. Just to the size of the site.
All right, hang out.
Perfect.
For B.
David?
Sorry, there was another question on schools. Like, which school do this housing goes to?
We'd have to bring it up with the school district. We just.
I know, but do we have?
Sure.
Where does it fall under?
Oh, do we?
Yeah,
have
I think
something on that?
we know the answer to that, and I think we can happy to provide that answer. And I actually think we did get a letter of support also for this from the school district itself on this project. But I think you guys have the answer for that.
Yes, so we have a letter from the Elk Grove School District. It would be in the attendance boundaries of Robert J. McGarvey Elementary School, Catherine L. Albiani Middle School, and Pleasant Grove High School.
I will say that is subject to change as the schools continue to build out and move and build new elementary schools that are already under construction and planned for, that community, and also additional middle schools and high schools. So subject to change, that is where they go today.
Sounds good.
And Mr. Mayor, if I could, just one quick comment in response to the public comment on parking. I think it might help set the stage for future discussions. Parking is one of the places where the state has put enormous pressure on local governments to be responsive to limiting parking standards, very significantly preempting local control over parking standards, in part in recognition to the fact that the extra land costs associated with providing overabundant parking is a major driver in overall housing costs in the state. So I think here these numbers are actually very generous compared to overall state standards and kind of the general direction that we see in the industry for particularly affordable, but really all infill kind of housing development. If any comment on it.
Yeah, that's correct. Oh, go ahead, Brendan. Oh, sure. So, this project does meet all of the minimum requirements for parking without any reductions or concessions or waivers. So it does meet our code requirement.
And it is one of the most common places where you see developers asking for concessions to be able to compress more density into a particular landmass.
Yeah,
David?
Same.
Excellent.
Don't we need a motion?
No, I got to get, hold on.
No, I think we can make a motion to adopt the resolution and then go yes or no.
Do you guys want to say anything? You guys good?
We're good.
Option B? Linda?
Don't we need a motion?
I
Then I will move approval of staff's recommendation, option B.
Second.
I get a roll call, please.
Councilmember Pulapati?
Yes.
Councilmember Little? Yeah. Councilmember Sander?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Budge?
Yes.
Mayor Gatewood? Yes. The motion passes.
That's it. We have other questions. Let's move on. 16.2. Stacy.
The Zinfandel Drive Bicycle and Pedestrian Overcrossing and Art Walk presentation and resolutions authorizing the city manager to approve artist contract numbers 2026-8, 2026-9, 2026-10, and 2026-11.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Albert Stricker with the Public Works Department. The Zinfandel Bicycle and Pedestrian Overcrossing is going to be an iconic bridge that connects many of the amenities that we enjoy in Rancho Cordova. The bridge is going to be an incredible piece of art in itself, but we've also identified additional opportunities for art installations along the corridor. And Edgar and Christine are going to tell us more about background of the project and the art itself.
Thank you, Albert. Good evening, Mayor, council members. Edgar Bedina, Public Works Department. As Albert mentioned, the Zinfandel Bicycle and Pedestrian Overcrossing and Art Walk project is truly an opportunity for the city to have an iconic structure and art walk element that has an opportunity to be placemaking and really kind of set the stage for a branding opportunity and really more of the start of maybe a future art walk for the city. The intent of tonight's presentation is to kind of give you an update on the status of the project, the goals, the vision, the overall aesthetics that we're proposing for the 4 locations, and also kind of talk about next steps after we receive input from council and from towards the presentation on different locations. As background for the goals and vision, the Art Walk really is going to be an opportunity to enhance the overall multimodal trail. The trail in of itself is almost 3/4 of a mile, starting at the south end at White Rock and Zinfandel and ends at the light rail station at Sacartee. It improves safety through the elimination of conflict zones at the westbound and eastbound on and off ramps. It eliminates it'll improve bike and ped access along the way to different connection points at different points at the loop, at the north end, at Olson Drive, on the west side of Zinfandel Drive. There's a lot of opportunities for this to provide some better connections for bike and ped, and also provide some of the support of the overall goals for enhancing some of the art elements throughout the city. One of the other things that we are excited about this is it also has an opportunity to support the economic development side of the city. Now that you have additional bike and ped access from one side of the highway to the other, there's an opportunity for it to support each other. As background for the overall project, the project cost for the infrastructure is $35.3 million. In total, with our Art Walk, we're just shy of $37 million. We're very fortunate to receive 2 grants, one federal, one state, totaling about $23 million. One was for design and one is for construction. To date, we received approval of the environmental document, the project report, and we're approaching the 100% design of the project. One of the key elements or phase that we're in right now is actually the right-of-way acquisition. So we're working with about 12 property owners to acquire property, fee title, and temporary construction easements. If everything goes accordingly, we intend to start construction this summer and then end in spring of 2028. With that, I would pass it on to Christine to kind of talk about the art plan and the proposed locations.
Thanks, Edgar. Thank you, Mayor, council, members of the public. My name is Christine Cordy, and tonight I'm excited to go over the art plan and propose artwork. On August 5th, 2024, the City Council approved an art plan for the Zinfandel Bicycle and Pedestrian Overcrossing that include 4 large public art pieces, in addition, community signage and wayfinding signage for the project. The artwork is supposed to be a gateway for this project and connected to the City of Rancho Cordova community. As part of the art plan, the process included developing an art review panel. This panel included representatives from the City of Rancho Cordova community. Shelley Blanchard and Cheryl Gleason from Cordova Community Council served on that panel. And in addition, there were art professionals, educators, practicing artists, and public art professionals that also served on that panel. Within the art plan, there was a selection process outline that we followed. The first part included an RFP where we are request for qualifications for artists to submit their credentials. The art panel met and reviewed the credentials and experience of all the artists and narrowed it down to 6 artists for each site. And then they developed proposals, and then those proposals were then submitted. And those are the proposals we'll be looking through tonight. So as mentioned, there was a robust art selection process. We had 2 different panels, one for what we're calling our 3D sites, which are our most structural or sculptural elements. We had 98 applicants. And for our 1 2D site on the wall, we had 85 applicants. So the panel met and reviewed the experience of all those artists and recommended 6 artists to submit sculptural proposals and 6 artists for proposals on the wall. Those panels then convened, reviewed the proposals, and provided some feedback to the artists. We work with the artists to refine the feedback. And 3 of the art locations are in Caltrans right away, so we had to work on some applications through Caltrans to get their feedback, and then we're here tonight to present those proposals. So tonight we'll be going through the concept proposals for the 4 sites. The next step in the process is for the artists to continue their work on the design and prepare their engineering of the final artwork designs. So as a reminder, we do have 4 locations on the proposed art walk. On the left side of the screen, Site 1 is at White Rock and Zinfandel. It's just a sculptural piece, and that is the one in the city right away on the newly acquired parcel. Site 2 is just ahead of the undercrossing at Gold Center Drive, which is a wall. Site 3 is in the loop ramp north of Highway 50 after you cross over the bridge. And Site 4 is another sculptural piece to serve as the northern gateway of the project. And here's an overview of the Caltrans right-of-way and the 3 art pieces that we'll have to go through their art and transportation permitting process. So for Site 1, this was a sculpture and had a budget of $200,000. The goal of this piece was to mark the south entrance to the trail. This is in the city right-of-way, and with acquiring that property, we have the opportunity to make this like a trailhead, a nice entryway that showcases the art and is an entry point into the trail. The artist recommended for this installation, her name is Sheila Wine out of Anchorage, Alaska, and she's been working in public art since 2006. So here are a few samples of Sheila's artwork. The 2 on the left are an installation in Anchorage, Alaska, and the one on right is in Florida. Sheila's proposal for the site is called Tree Walker. Her work is a large tree sculpture made out of Corten steel that's about 25 feet tall. The figure on top would be made from colorful retroreflective material to stand out from the tree. She envisions the tree walker walking down the trail and having coordinating landscaping as if it's walking through the trees down the trail. Site 2 is a wall as you go under Gold Center Drive. It's about 100 feet long and ranges from 5 to 12 feet tall. The proposed design included some type of mosaic, and it was envisioned as an intermittent installation, but it was recessed into the wall. The artist recommended for the site, her name is Adrienne Siegel from Alameda, California. She has a Bachelor's of Fine Arts from California College of the Arts, and she is also a professional there. And this piece is also in the Caltrans right away. Here are some examples of Adrienne's work. She likes to incorporate data into her installations. And similar with this project on Lichen Crossing, Adrienne proposes she performed research on iNaturalist to compile citizen science observation of fungi and lichen in Rancho Cordova. And this work would include hand-sculpted ceramic tiles along the wall. A quote from her proposal, she says, "The artwork reflects the natural curiosity of the people of Rancho Cordova to a monumental scale, highlighting the collaborative community of organisms living together here." So this is just a zoomed in area. So for Site 3, this is on the loop ramp on the north side of the freeway. The original, in the art plan, we originally discussed doing a poem for the site. However, with Caltrans Art in Public Places policy, they do not allow text in their installations. So as the committee was reviewing the different proposals, they recommended a structural piece be included at this location. So the artist recommended for this location is Matthew Mazzotta from New York. He has a Bachelor's of Fine Arts from Chicago and a Master's from MIT and is currently a lecturer at MIT. Here are a few samples of Matthew's artwork using fiberglass, and he is proposing a similar method of installation at this location. So Matthew is proposing an oversized great blue heron, and his proposal is called Passing Through. What he envisions as Passing Through is a story of traversing the city of Rancho Cordova streets, sidewalks, and paths while connecting it to its wildlife and natural landscapes. The city has a beautiful balance of urban and rural wildlife, and it's not uncommon to see all these all together. So this is a location, a vision, or a view of the heron from 50, and you can see there. The last location is site number 4, and it's meant to be a gateway sculpture piece on the north side of the trail. It has a $200,000 budget and is also in Caltrans right-of-way. The artist selected for this installation is Aaron Stevens of Portland, Maine. He has a Bachelor of Fine Art from Purchase College, and he has been a professor in the field as well. Here's an example of some of his work, and he likes to use ordinary objects and interesting public art installations. His proposal for this site is called Cascade. It's a cascading feature of lights at the northern entrance. A quote from his proposal, "Cascade is designed to pull our attention to the entrance point and create a welcoming transition." And the light features will feature grapevines on the ornamental brackets. And this is a view as you're coming out of the undercrossing, you can see the lights. So here's an overview of all 4 pieces together. And as Edgar mentioned, we're still finalizing our project design and anticipating to start construction this summer. So while this project is under construction, the artists will work to finalize their designs, working on fabrication, and the artwork installations will be towards the end of the process in 2028. So tonight we have before you, we are here to receive feedback on all these proposals so that the artists can incorporate anything into the final design. And there are resolutions and agreements in the packet for council consideration tonight. The next steps, once we work through everything, we will be providing all this feedback to the artists. And as mentioned, these are concept designs, so there is the opportunity to incorporate any feedback or input to the artist. So with that, we welcome council feedback and comments.
David, did you have any comments or questions?
Should we take a brief break? Should we take a break?
I'm coming. Is there any public comment?
Yes, there's public comment. Cheryl Gleason, if you'd like to come forward.
Good evening, Council, Micah, and Mayor Gatewood. I want to say that I've had a bit of experience in working with being on a panel. I am the chair for the commission in West Sac, the city of West Sac, on arts, culture, and historic preservation. I want to commend our staff on an excellent job in Public Works and how they executed this, and the hiring of Shelley Willis, who's got an amazing amount of experience with public art. This is a huge project. I sat on all of the panels along with Shelley, and there was, I think, through the process, it was great having Shelley and I, because we could, having been here, I've been here in Rancho now for almost 20 years, since 2009. And I almost feel like I'm a part of the fabric of this as well, spending 8 years at the MAC and really being able to talk with the public about the art. This will be a destination for people to come see Rancho in an amazing light. And the thought of the process with starting to walk through this trailhead, all of the images on the lichen wall came from residents here in Rancho Cordova, posting to iNaturalist. Interpreting that, I think the artist did great. We've seen actual physical mock-ups of what that will look like, and they're amazing. I'd like to take a couple home and put them on my walls in my house. And then as you get closer going towards the river, you see the blue heron, which we see blue heron all the time at the river, and then ending up with the lights, which you probably couldn't tell, but they have grapes on the lights, which harkens to our agriculture and our beginnings in the wine industry here in Rancho Cordova. I think this is going to change how people view Rancho Cordova artistically and as a city. I think the bridge itself is a beautiful piece of architecture, but I think the staff, Edgar and Albert and Christine, working with all of the different types of people she had to go through and work with, because artists are not the easiest to deal with. We think differently. They did such a great job, and I think this is going to be an amazing project. Thank you.
Next speaker is Larry Ladd.
Larry Leroy Ladd. I'm not clear on I haven't seen a presentation on the whole project, but if this is a walkway over the highway, is that correct? And there's arches on it? Or it looked like, at least artistically. And I just want to point out that Chuck Meyer and I, Shelley sent us to go wine and dine the B editorial staff and assure them about the ethical level of discourse in Rancho Cordova. And Chuck's passed away, but he was a city planner from Gilroy, and he was really big on arches as part of the archway. So if you guys chose to do that, he will be very happy. Now, on the topic of all this artwork, I already told you where my prejudices are. I also, Cheryl and I had grand fun doing fungi at the MAC for the school kids, but birds, I'd be interested in looking at what birds are selected and why. And then statuary. It reminds me, back in the Incorporation Committee, we used to talk about where are we going to put the statue of Linda Budge. And one possibility was with Art Linklater in front of the Alicante and the original post office. I was kind of fond of her being on top of the pillar to the Pony Express at Mills Ranch, but you might consider that.
Next speaker is Chris Osana.
I only have one comment on the number 3 item. I feel like that could be taken as a good opportunity to make a statement for the city, just as it'll be visible on Highway 50.
Yep.
So I feel like there should be a emphasized importance on that because it's going to be one of the most visible parts to identify the city, given the location. That's it.
Thank you.
Mayor Gatewood, that's all the public comment.
All right.
Could we look through the slides again?
Hit it.
The one that showed, for Larry's benefit, the one that showed is your first slide, maybe, or your second slide.
The bird?
That sort of backed up and showed the whole bridge with the spiral.
Yeah, my only comment about the blue heron was to make sure that the colors are accurate, because every birder in the world will complain if it isn't.
Sorry, do the mock-up.
Go back. That one?
That's close. Keep going all the way back so we can see the bridge. Where's the bridge?
It's so weird. I think we missed the bridge.
There
it goes.
There.
See, Larry, you walk across
You
it.
can see the lower right of that image is you're approaching the back of, like, I don't know, that's a Chevron station there, I guess, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You walk underneath the on-ramp and exit ramp to Highway 50. You do the little circle. The bird is going to be right there at the intersection of those two. Then you walk over, and then you make your way north. You go under our ramp that connects, what's the street right behind us here? Gold Center to Zinfandel, and then you make your way down to the next intersection. So that's almost half a mile? So 0.4 miles or something?
In total, it's about 3/4 of a mile.
Oh, 3/4 of a mile in total length. Okay. Yeah, so Larry, that's the Yeah, and it's by Zinfandel, you're crossing over Highway 50, so the arches are right there over Highway 50. Couple of questions. Now, we're just sort of limited here to the art, but I think we have to talk about like use of the facility a little bit to make sense of like the art. So my comments are going to veer a little bit from just the art. So I noticed in this image, there's fencing along this path. And I can certainly understand it like on the bridge parts, and I can understand a fence that separates people from being able to run onto Highway 50, right? That makes sense. I don't know if it needs to be right at the edge of the path. That bothers me a little. That sort of feels too channelized. And I don't know if you need it on the inside of the loop. This loop that we're looking at here.
Councilmember, 100%. This is an older image. There is no
Okay.
fencing on the inside of the loop right now.
Okay, good. Because one of the goals we talked about when this first came up, we talked about, could we turn this into a linear gallery, this 3/4 of a mile facility, right, or a portion of it? And what I mean by that is you've got relatively controlled access from, I guess, just, by Gold Center up there, all the way back to what's going to be close to Zinfandel as it comes up towards Olson. Is there any other way to get onto that loop? Like from Zinfandel, are you going to be able to get directly onto it at the top, or are they separated?
Councilmember, you may be able to get onto the loop from the Zinfandel Drive.
Okay.
So at the street level, there's a connection to the trail should you want to get on or off at that
All right.
point.
So there'd be a control point there as well. But I'm thinking, Cheryl and Shelley, we've got Event Genius and Artistic like Event Genius here. Is there a scenario in which we would want to have a linear event along this facility? And if so, what do we need to plan for in order to do that? These pieces would sort of anchor it. They would be permanent. But I'm thinking about temporary installations. Like if you've got 3 of these pieces here, could you bring in another 15? I don't know what the number is, 15. Now you've got a temporary exhibition of a bunch of stuff that is going to make people want to walk through not only the permanent, but the temporary ones. And what would we need to make that work? Would we need electricity along here? Would we need different lighting? These particular items that are going to be permanent, how should we worry about the lighting of those? I don't have any criticism of what was chosen. I think it's probably fine. We could discuss those in a little more detail, I suppose. But I'm really thinking about the big picture of how we can use this facility. And I don't know, it's not in today's presentation, Albert, but you're working within Caltrans guidelines for lighting this. We're trying to see how aggressive lighting of this we can be. If there's any, stuff that can be projected. For example, there's a wall over here on the right side of the circle when you're looking down on it. It's relatively large. It's got City of Rancho Cordova written on it with backlight, I think. So that would sort of set an evening appearance. It would say City of Rancho Cordova backlit. Pretty giant, actually, on that wall. So would you like the bird at night, the heron, or the fungi? We talked about that in my pre-meeting with you guys. I think there you can see City of Rancho Cordova on the right side of it. So I think there's some questions about, is this a usable facility? Is it worth the investment to make it a usable facility? What would that mean practically? And then how do these artworks fit into it? And I'd actually like to suggest Cheryl or Shelley, if you have any comments off the top of your head about that, I'd love to hear the thoughts you may have. You have to come back up. And the real question is, could you use this as a facility? Is it worth trying to make it a facility? Do we need more time to look into it? Or can you think of other examples around that have done something like that?
I think this could be used in that way. First of all, when we were going through the process, all of the both underpass and along the way is going to be lit. So when you start from the tree walker is made from reflective street signs. So there will be uplighting to hit him or her, they. And so that'll be really beautiful at night. The tree, you won't see the corten except for right through the middle of it quite as much. But because of and there'll be different local plantings in that area, there's easily ability to put some electricity along there to where we could do some things. Now, I don't know what the width of the walkway
I think
is.
it's mostly 10 feet, is that?
10 feet's a
No, it's
lot.
16 feet.
Oh, 16 feet.
16 feet's a lot. So as long as the railing along the bridge itself is structurally safe, you could hang temporary art off of that with pretty ease. You wouldn't be able to light it,
So like
per
on the
se.
safety fence, keeping
Yeah.
you off the freeway, that's like a gallery wall.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And you could do that with metal artists, you could do that with wood artists, you could do that with, just as long as it was, think about what type of thing you would want to potentially hang there or have there, that the span encourages the weight of, say, mosaic being the heaviest of those, right? Because Corten steel doesn't really weigh that much when you're only talking about 1/8 or 1/4 inch. But a mosaic would be probably the heaviest that you could do as a temporary piece. And it could rotate out and then be someplace else. So I think that would be easy for our ACE team to do. Lighting might be a little bit more difficult, and I don't know what the lighting spec on the bridge is, but I do know that it is all through the walkway.
I see a potential for the bridge itself to be a light show. If you were to install the proper whatever, it could change colors or create images just with light. So we didn't really even talk about that, but that has great potential. A lot of the was a little bit eye-opening when we were discussing the location of some of this art. It's kind of steep on some sides. It's not real flat where you could set up a band or something like that, if that's kind of what you're thinking. That didn't seem likely in most of those locations. To me, it was important that we tell a story that Rancho Cordovans could identify with, and sort of taking a walk and seeing natural lichen and having, seeing a bird that they are familiar with. That seemed to be sort of a nice story that you could jump off an event. In fact, some of the discussions we had were having, I think the artists suggested, putting QR codes next to all the lichen of where you could, what it was called and where you could find it in Rancho Cordova, and have a real natural experience there. Now that gives birth to another art experience, right? But the short answer to your question is, yeah, I think that we've shown over and over again that everywhere in our community is a stage, if we see it as such, and we can do some wonderful things. The other thing is, now that you own the property at what I would call the trailhead, where the walker is starting out on this journey, there's a potential there for a small plaza, probably, because you own the property, that could lend itself. I mean, it's heavy traffic, there's noise, that sort of stuff.
Exhaust.
Yeah, all of that. And I don't know if Caltrans has rules about what you can light on the side of the road. I have no knowledge of any of that. But the short answer is, yeah, there's potential everywhere here. And I do agree with Cheryl that I think it'll be a really spectacular moment for Rancho Cordova when it's all complete.
So if you did set up more pieces, you could have an event where people show up and get on a scooter.
Mhm.
A scooter tour of the art or a bike tour of the art or whatever.
Right.
Yeah. And, with lighting, if you took, say, that Rancho Cordova wall, which is obviously visible from, Rancho Cordova doesn't have a building that lights up for, 4th of July in red, white, and blue, or like San Francisco, when it's Giants, it's all in orange, right? Or when it's Pride, it's the Pride flag, or when it's Black History Month, it's green, yellow, and red. I mean, all of those things is simply just picking the right lighting fixtures to make those things very versatile. So you could incorporate all of the different things within our community, Diwali, all of those things in simple things like lights.
Yeah, so looking at like the concrete structures there, my thought was that if you could get projectors at their bases to project up, like an American flag or an image appropriate for whatever the holiday was, or a King's victory or something, if that didn't violate a Caltrans rule, a static image, right, not a movie.
I think you could do color, but anything more than color and possibly simple image, but Caltrans is absolutely adverse to any words.
So like a flag sort of implanted along the whole thing, would that be too much by their standard?
I don't know. Caltrans is funny, but to me, that would
You know,
just
like
be
a- like a-
color
like
of
a-
light. So
like a waving US
yeah,
flag,
as
and
long
all
as
you
it
see are
didn't have
parts of it.
words, I think you're fine. They're word averse.
Interesting.
Just covering a couple of these items that we've talked about. I mean, these are amazing visions and all part of making this a place to come to, in addition to just a place that people would otherwise just go through. So I'm super excited about the opportunity for this location. There are a few challenges in working in Caltrans right of way, and I think having an impromptu gathering is probably something that happens. It would probably be different having a city-sponsored scheduled event there with art out there. I think that's an incredible vision. It may be challenging to work through that with Caltrans, but I'd be fully game for going on that adventure and doing our best to work through Caltrans regulations. Caltrans also has very strict rules about anything that might distract people. And of course, this is with really good safety reasons, anything that might distract people from their attention when they're driving on the freeway.
That makes sense.
So the lighting that we do have incorporated right now does have the ability to change the colors. It even has the ability to work dynamically. However, Caltrans will not allow us to have dynamic changes in that lighting. We can change the color. We can do all of the color things that Cheryl was talking about and more, whatever the community and city council are interested to. Dynamic would be different. Even potentially projecting would be potentially a challenging conversation with Caltrans of putting different images up there that they may interpret as distracting drivers.
I wouldn't suggest like putting a band in the loop or having dancing there, because that would be just adjacent to what a driver's looking at and something, active with humans. Yeah, I'm thinking more of a passive, like making the understructure look like have zebra stripes or something. I don't know why you do that, but it might just be a fun thing to do. Maybe we have a zebra festival in Rancho Cordova or something. But yeah, or a bird festival, right, Larry? So we'd figure some sort of plumage. But yeah, I'm interested in that. I suppose what you could do is you could have the event at the trailhead, as Shelley just mentioned. And part of the event is you go down and back on this path. So the path is not the event. It's just part of the surroundings of the actual event that you go up and down. Because they wouldn't want to restrict people using the bridge. That'd be kind of crazy. Yeah.
Councilmember, if I could add, one of the things that we are fortunate enough, like Shelley mentioned, is we do own the 3-acre parcel. And there is a bit of a slope, but we have the opportunity to grade it to accommodate any type of gathering, since we own that and it's outside Caltrans right away. Additionally, on the trailhead on the south end, which is not part of this presentation, there is going to be a plaza element that is going to be around the tree walker installation for a point of gathering congregation and or support of a larger event.
Is there lighting all the way along the path?
100%.
Because you have to use it at night and
Mhm.
it has to be lit for a cyclist or whoever's walking down there.
Correct.
Yeah. Is there electricity that someone could tap into at a later date to do an event with all along the path?
That was one of the requests that council made, and we were making accommodations to have
Okay.
areas of connections.
Good. Shelley, can you think of anything else you would need if you're going to stage an event or hang art along there? It seems like light and electricity pretty much cover it. I suppose there's a planting plan in our future. I see trees on this plan, but that was the original spec. Okay. All right, I'm fine with the art. Generally, I think people on this side of the dais should probably not get too far into the art because we'll end up with a very odd recommendation of art by committee this committee. All of us with different interests or non-skills, like I have no skills in choosing it. So I'm happy with what you selected.
Siri.
Well, you said that right. I am not an artist. Don't have an artistic view. And Shelley mentioned this. Artists think differently from us non-artists. So I'm going to give my comments from that perspective. On all of the art is really good by itself in silo, but I'm going to look at it and comment it from where it's placed. So the first one, the man on the tree, that art, where it's positioned, it seems like the man is high up there, and that's at where people stop. And from a traffic perspective, when you stop, there's nothing for people to look at except for the stubs of the tree. And also the fact that if people were to walk by there, it doesn't provide any shade, it doesn't do anything to attract kids or make it to take a picture when you're there. So I'm not a big fan of the man on the tree. The lichen, that's where I envision something that would be Insta-worthy, like I said, because a lot of people will come, stand there, and take pictures. And I was thinking of something that's more universally appealing, like flowers or birds or, I don't know, fish. But lichen was not something that I think is universally something that I would stand beside to take a picture at. It's nice. It's from a study perspective, from something that would be in the Science Museum to show, in our Sacramento Children's Museum to show about the fungi or lichen that we have in the city, but I don't think that's the appropriate place to have that art. Number two, on the heron, that kind of blends into the background. So I like the artist's work, the earlier ones where it kind of stands out. And if you're going to do an art and you don't want it to show, to distract the drivers, but want something to blend in the background, then don't do anything at all. We're spending a lot of money on this art, so either do something that we can see, people can see, appreciate, not something that just blends into the background. Positive on number 4, I think that is really nice in terms of, again, all the art is really nice. I'm just talking from the perspective of the placement. So if I were to walk on that pathway, I think that's a very nice romantic walk. I think kids would like it. That's a really nice place that feels very pleasing to the eye. Obviously, we've already talked about the need for lights, LED lights wherever we can, all of that good stuff, but my comments are to the agenda and to the artwork. Thanks.
Linda.
So I'm with Caltrans. The bridge is absolutely gorgeous, and I just know we need to make sure that what we're doing does not cause traffic to come to a screeching halt in the middle of Highway 50. Practical considerations like that. In terms of the art, I'm not going to comment. I like 2 of them, and 2 of them do absolutely nothing for me. But, if for people who've taken leadership and seen the art in Rancho Cordova presentation, I always tell the story that when Regional Transit was extending light rail into Rancho Cordova and then all the way out to Folsom, then and Shelley may have been on this committee. We had a committee to work with RT, and one of the things that we reviewed was their art in public places, because they had a requirement that 2% of the project expenditure should be devoted to art. And so some people liked the art at sunrise. Edgar's trying to think where there is art at sunrise. Me personally, I love the doggies at Zinfandel. And then down at Mill Station, people often have to think about where is their art at Mill Station. At at Butterfield, you've got 2 columns, and then out at Hazel, you've got some big rocks. And all of those were perceived as art. So different people liked different things. It all came together as art in public places, and that's what we're doing with this. So I'm not going to comment about any of the individual art, except that let's just make sure that the heron is accurately colored. So this is probably not an item for a vote.
Yeah, it's a
This
vote.
is just a,
No, it's a vote.
are you sure?
Yeah, ask for a motion to award the contracts.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. It's the artist contracts. Okay. Then I will move approval that we authorize the city manager to approve the contract, the 4
Second.
contracts.
But I do want to hear Garrett's opinion.
No, you don't.
All right, roll call, please.
Councilmember Sander.
Aye.
Councilmember Little is absent. Councilmember Pulapati.
No.
Vice Mayor Budge.
Yes.
Mayor Gatewood.
Giant heron. Yes. Get it going. It's going to be entertaining. Just remember, I want Star Wars
That-
on the bridge.
So the motion passes with Little being absent and Pulapati as a no.
That heron alone is going to appear like on tourist maps. People are going to stop and park to walk there and take pictures with like, what are they going to call it? The world's largest heron or something, right?
A heron you later.
There we go.
Yeah, don't even worry about it. Listen, we have fungi and herons. Listen, welcome to Rancho. And Star Wars.
I think the thing is about 12 feet tall. 16. How much? 16. 15. Okay.
16 feet tall.
Okay. So
And
at least
if you walk by it at a certain time at night, it eats you.
How much to make it like 50 feet high?
Oh no.
Listen,
like a Christmas tree.
Oh no.
Bigger. So I don't think a 12-footer is going to work for me. I need woman in crowd 50 foot, and I want Linda riding
No.
the heron.
Stop that.
Listen, we're going to take it to another level.
Don't.
Listen, we're encouraging it. This is art. You can't judge art. All right. 16.3. Stacy.
Art in public places for fiscal year 2024 through
hilarious.
2025 accomplishments and upcoming projects for fiscal year 2025 through 2026 and 2026 to 2027.
All right. Ian, let's do this.
Let's do this. Good evening, Mayor, council members. My name's Ian Winbrock, and I'm a management analyst in the city manager's office. And I'm joined tonight by my colleague, Drew Hart, who's a principal transportation planner in our public works department. And we're here to talk about art. Specifically, we're here to update you on the projects we did last year with funding from the CEIF Art and Public Places bucket. We're going to share on what we're working on currently, what we did, and then we're going to talk about how we're going to be spending the Art and Public Places funding in the future to advance public art in the city of Rancho Cordova. But before we do that, I wanted to talk a little bit about the City of Rancho Cordova's Art Strategic Plan. If you didn't know, we have an Art Strategic Plan. It was released in 2019, and it serves as the blueprint for our vision for the arts. It's really our North Star, and it guides how we measure our impact as well as what we value, and it was designed in conjunction and really through our arts community, the CCC, RC Arts, as well as residents who enjoy both our visual and performing arts in Rancho Cordova. And over the last 5+ years, we've accomplished a lot. We now have an annual calendar of arts events. We've identified and inventoried performing arts facilities and what needs we have for the performing arts in Rancho Cordova. We've built a really robust volunteer base for arts events in the city of Rancho Cordova, and the MAC is now fully utilized. Anyone who has a magnet on their refrigerator can attest to that. In addition to that, of course, we've promoted the installation of art in our community, and that's really what Drew and I are here to share with you all tonight. So if you remember, in January of last year, we came to council with an idea of how we could advance art installations with community in Rancho Cordova through a series of temporary art installations, which we called Asphalt Art, the first of which you can see in front of you. We really wanted to test and learn, see what configuration of asphalt art in our community could not only beautify Rancho Cordova, but could also serve for placemaking, empower specifically emerging artists, as well as potentially be a tool in our toolkit for improving public safety in conjunction with temporary traffic calming interventions. So we chose Lincoln Village specifically because of a community organization, It Takes a Lincoln Village, really advocating for bringing art to the community, as well as Public Works doing a traffic calming project. So it seems perfectly timed. But rather than kind of telling you what it was like, I want to share with you what the experience was from the folks who were there.
Hey,
I understand. Painting crosswalks. We did Sunset on the River and some turtles that you can see out here. We've had tons of families out here. It's so fun having the kids, and these are really accessible projects for them. So they're out painting and they're having a good time, and then they get to walk by and see their artwork on the street.
I mean, it really feels like the community coming together. But our culture, our history in the city of Rancho Cordova is built on volunteerism, and we really want to celebrate that.
This is a family-oriented community, and so it's really great to be able to do something as a family. The kids are out here having a great time, and there's no wrong way to paint.
So there's no wrong way to paint.
We got to go back. Could we go back pre-video? Stop. Lower left image. Garrett, what were you just saying? Something.
I was just wondering why it seems like we spent a bunch of paint all over the turtle that we spent the time to build. Just is it supposed to be that way? It was
Let's be
supposed to
clear,
be.
it's not the turtle, that little spot on the far left.
Oh, that blue.
We've
right?
been working on cleaning it back to its
So why
original
is it
condition.
like
It'll be clean
blue
soon.
with orange dots and a speckle?
Wait, that's the city manager's trademark, okay? Let's move on.
Oh,
You sign your work when you're an artist, and that's a part of it.
That art, I
Are
get.
you calling it? That's what you meant to do? Is that what we're doing now? Giant heron on you.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
That's it. Every time you say something crazy, giant heron.
Well, as Janine said, there's no wrong way to paint. So I just want to underscore that's what the community has shared with us. But really, if you're there, you kind of caught just how electric that was, how the community was so excited to see what they could accomplish together in partnerships with artists. And really, this couldn't have happened without the support of Lorianne and her team, because this took place during our second annual Spring Service Day. And we did it during Spring Service Day because we wanted to really bring community in and do it together in partnership and through the sweat equity of community members. We were also under the umbrella of the insurance for Spring Service Day, so it reduced the barriers for entry for emerging artists. And because of the support of Assistant to the City Manager, Megan Siren, as well as Assistant Public Works Director, Edgar Medina, we were really able to do this project across departments and come together in a way that the city hasn't come together before, but really the community came together in a way that really just delighted folks. And that photo in the bottom right-hand corner, that was a family just going by in their stroller, and they came by and painted just on the fly. So community members were really excited to make art together and to really imagine what you can do when you close your streets. But that wasn't the only project that we kind of tested and learned during last year. In partnership with the CCC and RC Arts, they encouraged us to do sidewalk chalk placemaking words. So we selected a local artist and did play in front of AM Wynn right next to some of the kind of curb extension mosaic art that was some of the city's first art in our public streets and spaces. And then finally, we commissioned local poets for haiku that really elevate sidewalk accessibility and speak to that directly. And we chose these haiku because we wanted to really underscore how important sidewalks are to our transportation infrastructure. And sidewalks can often be an invisible, really critical part of our transportation network. And these poems are sometimes invisible themselves. We had a very special spray that we put on the poems, and because of that, they only show up when it rains. And with council direction, we did this in front of AM Wynn and George Washington Carver, and involved the students who were in the government class at George Washington Carver to install the poems. So we talked about what we've done, and I wanted to wayfind on where we're going and how we're going to be spending the Art in Public Places funds for this year as well as next fiscal year. But before I do that, I just wanted to share that the City of Rancho Cordova was selected for the National Endowment for the Arts Our Town grant. It's the National Endowment for the Arts' most prestigious creative placemaking grant program. It supports projects that integrate arts, culture, and design, and it really strengthens communities through art in the long term. This is really the kind of placemaking jewel grant for the National Endowment for the Arts. And before 2024, about 25% of those cities who apply for an award were selected, and now the number of grants is even fewer still. And this really speaks to the work that was done over the last 20 years since incorporation, but really highlights the national visibility that the arts community and artists have been building in Rancho Cordova. And our Town grant will fund an update to the city's art strategic plan, as well as the city's first artist in residency program at the Zinfandel Bicycle and Pedestrian Overcrossing, specifically around it, that I'll talk about in just a moment. For the art strategic plan update, this is really an update of our plan that's not stale by any means. It just really needs to incorporate what we've accomplished since 2019. It's going to include actionable priorities, goals, and metrics. And it's going to talk and really flesh out public art processes, roles, and evaluation. And Councilmember Budge, I just wanted to let you know that staff has been listening, and we're going to be sure to make sure that a maintenance plan to really preserve our existing public art and make sure that permanent public artworks are left for many years, and the investment that the city's made is going to continue on because we really cherish and preserve those public artworks. We've already released an RFP and received responses from nationally renowned arts strategic plan organizations and consultancies. We're currently evaluating consultants, and we have both Cheryl and Shelley a part of that process. And when we select a consultant, of course, we're going to continue to engage the public and the arts community through that process. For the artist residency, in case you're unfamiliar with it, an artist residency usually has an artist or a group of artists embedded in an agency or an organization for a set period of time. In some cases, artists live in that place. In other times, it's a combination of them visiting or having virtual interactions. So for the city's first artist in residency program, we're going to be choosing 6 artists to create temporary public art around the Zinfandel Bicycle and Pedestrian Overcrossing. The overcrossing itself is going to be the anchor for our art walk with those 4 permanent installations that y'all just voted on. But these are going to really kind of bring people to that place. And because we're creating the infrastructure for temporary public art that could be rotating, we really see this as a way to catalyze the art walk and really draw people to both events and the spaces that we're going to be creating through the Zinfandel Bicycle and Pedestrian Overcrossing. The artist residency is going to support both artists and their professional development, and the work that the artists will be creating is going to be fundamentally place-based and community-centered. Artist in residency programs across the nation and across the world are really focused on how artists create art in place that's influenced by the place, but it's also made through their experience in the place that they're creating art. And of course, like I said, this is going to build our capacity for future temporary public art around our art walk and the Zin BPOC. And of course, it's going to continue to elevate our local arts organizations and artists and really give national profile to how we're continuing to make the city of Rancho Cordova both a home for artists and the arts. Finally, I just wanted to give us a look ahead for 26 and 27. In 26, we're going to launch the artist residencies, conduct community engagement as part of the Arts Strategic Plan update process, and we're going to be looking to make sure that we engage with council appropriately to get input through that process. In 27, we're going to be fabricating and installing the temporary public artworks in partnership with Public Works, finalize the Art Strategic Plan update, and then bringing the Art Strategic Plan update to council for its adoption. Thank you so much. Drew and I are available for any questions.
It is awesome that we got that grant. It's awesome we got that grant. I remember getting the announcement in my email and sending it to Shelley. And I may have sent it to you too. I've done that several years in a row. this one and the National Endowment for the Humanities both had interesting options for us. I mean, National Endowment for the Humanities that was doing like a history like thing. Seems like it could be a lot of work in terms of updating the plan. Is that something consultants are going to bear the brunt of, or is it going to be a lot of sort of coordination on our end, finding artists in our community to talk about what the possibilities are?
Primarily, what we're looking for is a consultancy to drive the effort of really bringing folks together and making sure that we're bringing in the community voices. And I feel that really what staff is going to be doing is making sure that we have the data, the stories, the evidence showcasing how we've really accomplished the goals that were set out for the Art Strategic Plan in 2019.
So, yeah, I don't know, Cheryl, you might want to comment on that. It seems like Rancho Cordova Arts would be absolutely key to that effort, like a partner agency practically in getting that done. I'm really excited about, obviously the temporary stuff and the ability to use the facility. I'm also curious about follow-on grant opportunities or other things that may be attached to this. Are we looking forward enough to say that like whatever we're doing now is preparing us for the next step? I don't know what that next step is, but presumably there is one.
A next step specifically related to looking for additional grant funding?
Yeah.
So,
or partners or opportunities.
So I just want to take this point to mention, not only are there less National Endowment for the Arts grants being given out, but also the federal government could at any time take the funding away, as they've done in other cities that they've been granted. So I have not looked at additional federal funding opportunities beyond the one that we've currently received.
I'm thinking about partnerships with NorCal Arts or Verge or UC Davis or Sac State, anything that whatever we're building here and designing here, we could aim at trying to create opportunities in the future for a partnership. That sort of stuff.
Thanks for your input, and I'll make sure to carry that forward.
Yeah, I think Councilmember Sander, I think one of the things, having a plan and having actually wins is usually what gets you a good opportunity in the future, like kind of what led us to the National Endowment of Arts grant was because we were already investing and going through the plan and having the strategic plan to start out with. And that really what kind of drives the planning to basically take advantage of those future opportunities when they come, whether the unknowns of the federal government, National Endowment of the Arts, or other uses, there's just ready for the opportunities to go find them when they're out there.
Do we have, for example, like peer communities or communities that have really gone a long way down using art as an economic development tool and as a quality of life tool that we can follow or study or emulate?
Cambria and San Luis Obispo would be a good area to look at. And also, if I may, I think because Rancho is sitting at this precipice. Cheryl, why don't you come up here? Because otherwise, he's going to have to repeat everything you say, word for word. I think that because the city of Rancho is on this precipice of really expanding the arts in a very thoughtful and strategic way, that one of the things in increasing grants and grant opportunities is to have someone like Ian on the city staff that every year in April is Arts, Culture, and Arts, Culture, and Creativity Month. And representatives in cities go to their local legislators and they meet with them. And so there's a lot of between the month of February to April where representatives are looking to support the arts, but also giving voice to how much they want to have those grants available from the state of California in the budget. And I think as a city, we should have a seat at that table to represent the city and their desire to increase and not have those reductions happen, because the more squeaky wheels, the more they say, okay, this is a need. People want this. Community wants this. Cities want this. And I think as a city, having a seat at that table is an important thing.
And council member, specifically for the Art Walk component, there's a number of cities across the country. The one that Drew and I were the most impressed and inspired by was Lakewood, Colorado, which is just west of Denver, which has the Green Line, which is an art walk which is similar to the one that Albert has envisioned, in which it's a self-guided vision. And just walking along the Green Line, you get a sense of kind of being pulled through districts that are not too uncommon to what we have in Rancho Cordova.
Yeah, I've been there to
Oh,
that
really?
city. I visited their mayor, who was implementing that strategy, using art in an old suburb to try to rejuvenate it economically, socially, culturally, creating a place that people want to go and they'll have dinner while they're there sort of environment. Yeah, that was, what they've done is pretty cool.
So
That's a great example.
So specifically Lakewood, Colorado, and Mariposa County in California were the two art strategic plans that we embedded as examples in the update to the art strategic plan RFP when we released it.
No, great job. Thanks.
Great job.
Mayor Gatewood, can we ask for public comment?
Once I'm done saying great job. Is there any public comment?
Thank you. Larry Ladd, if you'd like to come forward.
Thank you for reading my frantic body language. One thing I'd like to point out is this kind of artist community, artist support, to bracket things is a great thing to promote the art show. And I'm talking like chalk on sidewalk, but of the airplanes that the old schools in Rancho are named after, or Billy Mitchell and the Mitchell Administrative School was named after. Relatively easy illustrations, not in paint, but in chalk that gets the kids' attention at the airplanes that are coming to the air show. So I think I see potential for that. And then fungi. When we did the fungi exhibit, I tried to point out to the kids that a fungus is closer to an animal than it is a plant. And it's all about networks, right? Dr. Sander, the biologist, the hi-fi. And so if the art actually focused on the network, beneath the surface, and there could be whimsical little allusions to famous electrical circuits, or the Pony Express in miniature riding across one of the hi-fi. Play around with that, because if you're just looking at the fruiting bodies, you're just looking at the gonads, right? Fungus are all about networks. So if you got a mycologist together with the artist and played around with symbols and illusions in that network and actually have the focus be on the network, mushrooms that are along the river versus ones that are vernal pools and turn into a map. It is a lot of work, but it would make it worthwhile, I think. That's my input.
That must be where the phrase "a fungus among us" came from.
I'm always confused on the fungus, whether it's an animal or a plant species. So thank you for sharing that with me. Yeah. No, we're on the same boat.
Fungus among us. All right. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Awesome. So I guess we'll go on to number 17, future agenda items. Nothing? All right, I'm going to adjourn this meeting in C.C. Lewis. She was a disabled girl that just passed away. She was 32 years old. For her family and the city of Rancho Cordova, we appreciate all your hard work, and may she rest in a better place. Meeting adjourned.